A darker crisis is unfolding in Ukraine. American weapons meant for Ukrainian troops have allegedly landed in the hands of Mexican drug cartels. This next report explains how a perfect storm of corruption threatens both Ukraine's survival and U.S. border security.
Russia's relentless assault continues to devastate Ukraine's infrastructure, with missiles from the Black Sea targeting Kyiv and other regions. Each day brings news of fresh Russian territorial gains, while Ukrainian troops face critical ammunition shortages. Along the Pokrovsk front, Ukrainian forces struggle against Russian infantry assaults, their defense compromised by severe manpower shortages. Desertion rates climb as exhausted soldiers flee a depleted, demoralized military. Behind the visible crisis, a more insidious threat emerges. Ukrainian authorities launched desperate raids across 1,000 locations. Uncovering vast networks of illegal arms sales. Trophy weapons, ammunition and explosives meant for defenders instead disappear into shadowy markets. The corruption cases aren't isolated. Several high-ranking Ukrainian officials have been arrested in corruption cases. Now, American journalist Tucker Carlson's explosive revelation suggests these weapons now arm Mexican drug cartels. This unprecedented security breach not only undermines Ukraine's defense, but threatens America's southern border. This crisis strikes at the heart of Western support, with President Zelensky rushing to Munich for crucial meetings with Trump administration officials. These allegations threaten to derail vital military aid. Ukraine faces a devastating choice: tackle internal corruption or lose the war against Russia. The ramifications extend far beyond Ukraine's borders. These weapons, intended to defend European democracy, now potentially fuel cartel violence along the US-Mexico border. Each diverted weapon represents a dual threat, weakening Ukraine's defense while strengthening criminal enterprises abroad. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis is a military expert and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. He's now joining us live from Starling, Virginia. Colonel Davis, good to see you. We have seen multiple reports and arrests of high-profile Ukrainian officials. How big do you think corruption is in Ukraine?
Oh, I think it's just gargantuan. I mean, you know, the Ukraine government and country was regarded as the #1 most corrupt country in Europe before the war started. And you can be sure that after flooding it with so many, literally billions of dollars, and you've had Zelensky himself admit that he doesn't know where $100 billion of that went, and it's anybody's guess to where it was, but there are way too many reports of high-ranking people that were, jailed, that were under investigation, that to think that this is not something even more widespread, and it is a real problem. No question about it.
Before I move on to my next question, I just want to know from you, do you believe in Tucker Carlson's statement or depiction that the weapons are landing in drug smugglers' hands?
Well, it certainly could. He said when I was on that show with him, and he said that it was a fact, is the phrase he used. He said he had direct knowledge of it, and I know Tucker Carlson is incredibly well connected. So if that's what he said, I'm sure that there's some truth to it. I just personally, I have not seen those sources, and I don't have any personal knowledge of it.
All right. With that being said, does the weapons smuggling from Ukraine complicate further aid from its Western partners, especially the U.S.?
Well, you know, I think it does. And as your reporter showed there a second ago, I mean, whether there's something going to the Mexican border is a separate issue, but we know for a fact that it's a massive problem inside of Ukraine, as those 1,000 raids showed. And you can be sure if there were 1,000 places they knew about, there's probably thousands more that they don't know about. So this is obviously quite a big issue, and anybody in Europe is going to have to take, you know, serious look at this, because why do you want to continue to give large amounts of weapons, ammunition, aid, etc. to Ukraine when they cannot control where it's going? Because whether it's in Mexico or not is, we'll find out. But the likelihood is that it's going in other places that could be crime in European countries. And I think that's what's going to motivate a lot of their future. Anybody who's going to give more aid is going to want some real guardrails on this, or they may, reconsider whether they should give weapons at all.
Colonel Davis, it's always good to talk to you. Good to see you. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.